Hello and welcome back to CADvent 2024. In today's video for day 10, we are going to be designing a fancy bauble Christmas tree decoration. My name is Elizabeth Bishop and you can find me on my social medias at 3dbish. So let's jump into Fusion and get started. For today's one, we are going to be using the Form Workspace to model a bauble much like day 2's CADvent, the simple bauble. We're also going to use that Form Workspace like we did in day 8 with the Santa hat to sculpt that into this really kind of intricate fancy bauble, complete depending on what you want your design to look like. So to start off with, I'm going to create a sketch on the XY plane, creating a circle of diameter 10 millimeters, and that's my starting point for the shape. I'm then going to create a circle, center point circle, grab that on there and put a diameter of 1 millimeter. I'm then going to add a horizontal and vertical constraint for that section there to make sure it's in line. I'm then going to use the trim tool, so modify and trim, and just trim that inside of the circle there. I'm then going to use a sketch pattern, so circular pattern, that object around the center point. Now I've worked out that we need 24 of these to create this sort of flower petal shape here with the pattern that we need for the Form Workspace. I'm then going to use the trim tool again and trim all of these inside pieces where I've created the arcs on those circles. And this is to give us the starting sketch for what we want to do in the Form Workspace. So just go round and delete all of those inside pieces there until we are back round to the beginning of the shape. And there we go. So that's our enclosed shape that we want to use to create the Form Workspace. So to get into the Form Workspace, you're going to click this big purple button here, so create form. And I want to start off with an extrude. So selecting my outer profile there, I'm going to do my distance as 95 millimeters and my number of faces, I want that to be 5. So just input those numbers there. And you should end up with a big long tube like this. Leave the faces on this option here as the default of 48. And click OK there. If you did a different number in your pattern, you'll have a different number of faces there. Now I'm going to use selection and the modify to create the shape that we're going for here. You need to change your selection filters in here. So selection filter, you want to make sure you've got select through on. That means when you grab a section like this from left to right, it will select all of the points in that section. If you go from right to left, it will select everything, which we don't want to do in this case. Without that selection filter on, if I just turn that off and show you, from the front view, when I select that, it will only select the ones on the front of the object. So make sure you've selected that to include select through. Now to start off, I'm going to start off at the top, select across there and click modify and edit form. Going to the top view on my view cube, I'm just going to drag in that object there to make the top really nice and small and neat. And what that does is it brings a point in there. I'm then going to make sure I leave the bottom one as is because that's the part and the shape I need for the connection point of the bauble. I'm then going to grab this middle one, edit that form and go to the top view again and bring that out to create sort of the biggest bulb bit of the bauble that I want to do, and just drag this around until you've got a shape and size that you are happy with. I'm quite happy with how that looks there. So I'm going to move on to the next one down, modify form and bring that one outwards as well. You might need to move it down slightly as well. So you can see as you play around with the different options, they create different shapes as you move them around. Doing this one down here at the bottom, again, drag that out slightly until I'm happy with the shape that it gives me. So maybe need to do the next one up a little bit more. So modify form and bring that out a little bit until you're kind of happy with the shape. I think I'm going to bring this line down slightly. And then this one down slightly again until I'm kind of happy with the shape that I've got there. Now that gives us our basic shape. I think we're going to bring this one out just a tiny bit more. Not that much though. It's definitely an art rather than a defined form that you've got here. And you can move this one around. If you move it up and down, you can kind of see different effects on that there. And just play around with that until you're happy with kind of the overall basic shape of your bauble. Now, the next thing to do is we're going to add in some rotations. So selecting that first shape, I'm going to click Edit Form. Go to the top view. Make sure you always go from the same view each time. And I'm going to use this rotation. So this one, I'm going to go for -5 degrees, just to give it a little bit of a twist. You can maybe go -10, depending on how much you want to do. So just adding a little bit of a twist there. Again, from the front view, grab the next section, modify and edit that form, go to the top view. And this one, I want to go positive 5 degrees. So 5 degrees in that direction. Just adding a little bit of a twist in. The next section up, again, modify and edit form. And this one, I'm going to add in a bit of a twist, maybe 15 degrees, just kind of play around with the numbers and see how it looks and gives you a shape that you're happy with. And then the final one, I'm going to do a negative rotation on that one, maybe 15 degrees. That's looking quite pretty on the top there. And you can just play around with those numbers until you're happy with how that looks. I'm going to change this one, I think. So once you've done it once, it'll go back to 0, but you can still add further rotations on if you want to. Just make sure each time with this particular one, you're selecting the whole area, and then you can rotate that round. You can have a look, see how that looks. And it's entirely up to you how much of a twist or not a twist you add onto it. And you can just play around with the numbers until you are happy with how that looks. And then once you're happy with the bauble shape that you have created, we're going to click Finish Form and go back into the model workspace. You can see here you've got this kind of cool, fancy sort of twisty pattern on the bauble there. So once you're happy with that, we're going to use some of the surface tools. So I'm going to use Patch, and this is just to create an enclosed body rather than the vase mode body. So selecting that top and bottom surface and clicking OK. This will then solidify the body that we've got. So it's got 3 patch surfaces. I'm going to select them all and use a stitch. And this will create a solid body rather than a surface body. I'm then going to create a sketch on, I'm going to extrude on the top surface, this one, and bring that up by 5 millimeters. And this is just going to give us a bit of a solid section to create the hanging part of the bauble from. I'm then going to create a sketch in the center plane. Now you could either do a circle through here, probably about 5.5 mil of diameter, or you could use that hexagon trick that we did with the bauble in video 2. So I'm going to cut that 2 sides and I just want to go through all of the objects there. And that creates a part that we can put the hook through for our printed bauble. And then all that's left to do really with this is you could add some appearances if you wanted to make it look shiny. So A on the keyboard to open up the appearance menu. Let's see what we've got. Maybe a copper brushed. That's quite a nice effect there, just to give it a nice appearance in Fusion. And then save your STL. So right click, save as mesh. Save that STL out, load that up in your slicer, and you can print that using the vase mode settings as we did with the bauble in day 2. So thank you for watching CADvent 2024 day 10. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you've got any questions, please do post them in the comments below. If you've liked this video, give it a thumbs up and let me know what you want me to do for the rest of CADvent 2024. I'll see you in the next video.